please provide some explanations on yesterday's statement of John Kerry in Moscow saying that if Minsk agreement are implemented in full, sanctions against Russia could be lifted? And does it mean that Crimean issue is no more on the table anymore? And
does that mean that what's not on the table anymore?
Crimean issue. The annexation of Crimea is not an issue and not a strong argument for.
No, we still don't recognize the
sanctions.
annexation of Crimea. That very much is still an issue, and the secretary said that there can be no sanctions relief with respect to eastern Ukraine without a Minsk agreement being fully implemented. And look, the onus is on Russia to meet its commitments. He was very clear about that.
Question on this. This is on the President Putin's decision to suspend the free trade agreement with Ukraine.
I'm sorry. The
Russian President Putin today said that he had made a decision to suspend a 2011 free trade agreement that that Russia and Ukraine had. Do you have anything on that?
I don't know if I do. Well, it's not in my Ukraine tab. Let me see if it's in my Russia tab. Is that where it is? I'll have to take the question and get back to you.
Also on Ukraine?
Yesterday, the secretary said twice something to the effect of there is no policy of the U.S. to isolate Russia. I remember after the annexation of Crimea, the president himself spoke about taking steps that will isolate Russia. When did this policy change, that no longer are you actually taking steps or trying to isolate Russia?
There's no change to talk about, Brad.
Oh,
what we've said is Russia will, with respect to Ukraine and Crimea, that they took actions that isolated themselves, and that the sanctions were only going to raise the cost on Russia as a result of their own actions, which were isolating themselves. And that's what the secretary is referring to. There's not an object policy in place that is you pull it off the shelf and here's the isolate Russia policy.
There
are through their own actions, isolating themselves, and that's why the secretary raised the issue in Moscow and thought it was important to do so. Gotta go, guys. I gotta go.